All right, guys, welcome back to Vocal Cords Exposed. I'm Nathan Kirk, and let's be real here. It's been a crazy, I would say, past, I don't know, 3 or 4 months with everything going on. And this is actually take two because I actually started recording like a minute ago, but then Joseph had a laughing episode. Just started randomly laughing. He literally couldn't contain himself. It was a little weird, to be honest. I didn't even notice he was laughing. Like, just started randomly laughing. Yeah, so this is actually take two. Yeah, so I'm hoping everyone is doing great. Again, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and I'm just gonna make it clear that there isn't a point in time where I dismiss it or I dismiss it as less important. But I definitely do want to bring up topics to move away from that. I want to have more positivity on my podcast, on my YouTube channel.
Not necessarily to move away from it, but to just not focus on it so much when there are other positive things that we can bring to the table.
Right. Exactly. Perfectly worded. Now, but on that same note, I definitely want to point out a few things that we've already talked about recently, and it's about how if people who have been personally affected, sorry, there's people in the background because it's like really really echoey in the hallway out there. But I just want to say that if no matter what race you are, no matter what background you are, no matter where you come from, if you've been personally affected by it, you need to speak out.
Even if you've just witnessed it, if you've seen, been a part of, or just experienced racism towards others or yourself in any way,
Exactly.
talk about that experience. Put your voice out there. Because if 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people plus start talking about their personal experiences and start putting their voices out there, then that's going to be incredibly hard to ignore, right?
Exactly.
Racism can't be ignored if there are millions and millions and millions of voices talking about very personal experiences.
Exactly. Because it's going to be on a more genuine level rather than, which is another point I want to get to. You have these big companies saying, "Oh, we're involved and we're trying to change, and we're trying to do positive things." Like, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here, but Instagram, when they changed their like profile photo, they blacked it out, and I get that. That's cool, but what is it actually doing for the black community, or just for racism itself? It's not doing anything. And this just like it goes for all companies. Don't say that, oh, we did this or we changed this about our company, and then not doing anything. Um, it's a waste of time, and it actually is a little more offensive rather than it's just
It's just hollow.
it's hollow.
It's a hollow statement because you're saying, I care, but you're not doing anything.
Exactly.
Makes change. The most that this is doing is directing people's attention towards the movement. But the movement itself has already garnered so much sources that are capable of getting that information out there
Exactly.
that you don't need, for example, Reddit to change their logo from red to black. We don't need that. Maybe what we need is Reddit to remove all those racist subreddits.
Which there are hundreds and thousands.
There are so many subreddits out there that are super racist and even sexist. There are a lot of subreddits out there of just people who have free reign to talk about all these just
disturbing, horrible things.
horrible things. And if Reddit can get rid of those,
Which they have the power to.
they have the power to, they should do that, not change their logo.
Exactly.
Or they could do both. That would be.
They can set up some sort of a filtration system within Reddit to block any negative or just any discriminatory acts of posting.
Now, Reddit probably has a system in place.
Oh, probably.
Like, for something. They maybe, I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
But if they have the power to remove those racist subreddits, they should.
Yeah, exactly. It's because like there is power, there's capability, but I feel like nothing's pushing it to be put in place, and that's what's the most upsetting part about. Like, don't black out a dashboard, don't black out the font, and then say you care. It's like you said, it's a hollow thing. But again, that is all of that. I want to move towards something that's a little more positive because this whole year was, and I'm an idiot for thinking 2020 was going to be so amazing, and yeah,
We have to get a clip of you saying, it was New Year's. You were making your resolution. You believed so strongly that 2020 would be one of the best years for your life.
Yeah.
And things were going to change for you. Well, yeah, the world's changed.
yeah.
Yep.
Not for the better.
better.
It's been the whole. Everyone's been suffering. The whole globally, everyone's been suffering, and then there's been personal things, and another thing I want to just point out. It's so obviously the whole world is going through some very tough times right now, but it's like I find that even personally, just random things happening. Like for example, my car, just parts. So many parts going on the car for like it's just so frustrating, and it feels like this year is like because of small things, it's almost have the self-awareness of it. They're like, wait, this is our time to screw up Nathan's life.
Yeah.
if we're gonna impact him on a negative level, this is the time to do so.
I feel like all the negativity in the world right now just makes everything feel worse. So even something that would seem not so big of a deal,
Oh, yeah.
because everything is going wrong, it makes you feel like that's just one other thing going wrong.
That's exactly,
even if it's not a big deal.
That's exactly how I feel, because if this was 2 years ago, if it was 2019 and this happened, something went on my car, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Whatever, who cares? I'll replace it. Not a big deal. You know, it's just a money thing. I could just regain that money. But because of everything happening at once in this year, it happens. I'm like, oh, another thing. And I just want to rip my hair out. But yeah, so if anyone wants to comment down below, also use hashtag #VolcorsExposed. If anyone wants to comment down below, you know, if there is a personal thing that just happened in your life and it just feels like it's also a part of this kind of 2020 horrible vibes kind of thing, let me know. I'm really open to talk about it and communicate with you guys.
It's gonna be a real glass half empty comment section. Just so you know.
Yeah. I definitely do appreciate it, especially the positive feedback that I'm getting from you guys on the YouTube channel. That is something that definitely keeps me going because, what? What am I looking at?
Sorry.
You're just like,
My uniform. I just
oh yeah.
I didn't know I still had that. We're trying to think of positive topics here. We should maybe talk about hobbies and just things that we can do during quarantine and during these times to kind of like move on. Because there's still a lot of like positive, fun activities you can do that don't involve getting in other people's space. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you're being clean, you stay sanitized, you social distance, you can still do activities like paintballing and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Go out and enjoy the outdoors, because like right now being cooped up inside, it's just it's gonna mess with your head.
Oh, easily. And another thing I've noticed too, also with other, you know, YouTubers and content creators, they're like, when this started, the pandemic was like at, you know, peak pandemic. It was like, you know, it was strict, you know, no one leaves their house, no one goes to see their friends, no one does this, no one does that. Now I'm seeing a lot of, okay, they're stepping out, they're making the sacrifices of, okay, you know what, I'm going to see my friend regardless, which we are doing now. like for example, Good Mythical Morning with Rhett and Link, they were doing the quarantine. They were still doing their podcast, they were still doing their episodes, but they were just doing on video chat. They were in their own homes. But now I think they're like on their second week, I think second or third week, where they're now actually back in the studio together. And you can just see the life in them come back. They're just generally just they're so happy to see each other in person, and you can actually see that on camera because they've been apart from each other for so long. Now they are still taking precautions. There's obviously less film crew in the studio. There's probably only three of them, but it's just amazing to see visually on how happy somebody is, or how two people are, just because they've been apart for so long. So yeah, it all this definitely affects all this. Being cooped up inside, you would, if you were telling this story to your kids, if I tell this story to my kids that, we were cooped up inside, they're probably like, oh, it doesn't sound like a big deal. It's not that big of a deal. Once you live it and you do it, it it actually wants to make you go insane,
Yeah.
to a certain point.
Especially with how dry and humid it's been.
Mm-hmm.
There's the heat.
Yeah.
There's the just
Yeah.
the feeling of just isolation.
And I don't know if it's staying inside that makes me uneasy. I think for me personally, what
Maybe
makes
they
me,
have to be inside.
yeah, have to be inside. I feel like because we're being enforced that, you should stay inside, that's what makes me uneasy. If I made a choice to do an experiment to stay inside for like 2 months, whatever. Because, we have entertainment. You can, watch TV, play video games, etc., etc. But you can only do that so long, to the point where you crave to go outside. Even walking to the store, you know what I mean? They say don't go outside unless you have to. Now lately, let's be real here, a lot of people are going outside because they want to, which is perfectly fine. So
Your brother encountered someone. What was it? A coffee shop? I don't know. But he was in line, and someone there didn't have a mask on. He wasn't respecting any space. He wasn't social distancing. Brought it up. Said, "Hey, could you stay 2 meters apart?" And he's just like, "What? Coronavirus isn't a thing anymore." And that's because a lot of people, because right now what's going on with the movement, the Black Lives Matter movement,
yeah,
a lot of people are ignoring COVID-19. And
right.
yes, Black Lives Matter is a more important movement for society. We
Yeah.
need to push that movement, but at the same time, we need to respect each other's space and social distance.
Exactly. And I feel like that's when it comes to news, they're like, it's like Black Lives Matter movement, COVID-19, and then Black Lives Matter movement comes up. They're like, oh, wait, quick, we need to drop COVID-19 and move
Yeah.
on to this thing.
And before that, it was murder hornets.
Yeah.
There was like one bee,
Yeah.
and everyone was freaking out about it because they talked about COVIDs for so long. They wanted to move on, find
Yep.
a new topic.
Oh,
make
yeah,
headlines.
exactly. It's, I don't know, it's all of this happening at once. It just sometimes it feels like it's just all about, the news, it's all about publicity, and it's like it feels like it's not genuine. It feels like it doesn't matter. But it actually does. Like COVID-19 is a real thing. People are getting sick. People are dying. But it feels like when it comes to the news, they're just ramping out all this information. And for the younger generation, teenagers, even kids who are like 12, they're not going to read into facts or the actual logical side of things. They're just going to read into, oh my gosh, this is happening. And they pull out their phone, their iPad, they're like, wow, look at all this news. But is it accurate? All they see is just a bunch of numbers. They're not looking into it. So we don't even know
Well,
what's,
the news uses percentages a lot.
yeah.
See, the thing with percentages is that they're relative to a number.
Right.
So a 20% increase in cases in a specific area could sound like a really huge number. But if there were only 3 cases or 4 cases or 10 cases in that area, that's not a huge increase.
No.
Well, at 10 cases, that's 1 new person got infected. But they'll say 20%, and that sounds huge. So every article you read, if it's using percentages, look more into the situation before you freak out. Because in some cases, it's not as bad as they say it is. And in other cases, it's worse.
It's worse.
So you need to educate yourself.
Yeah.
And instead of just taking every article at face value, if you really want to know what's really going on,
And we talked
you
about
should
that the other
educate
day,
yourself. Yeah. Although you said we're going to talk about positive things. We said we were going to talk about positive things. And we just focused so much on the current events.
It's because this is...
We're using up so much of our segment on this. We're already halfway through. We need to... Come on.
It's just
positive.
like a huge
Let's go.
thing. Okay. So... We're like huge... When it comes to science...
Huge nerds.
Yeah, huge nerds. We definitely lean into the more scientific side of things. We like... I don't know how to put it. For example, Nick showed us this video on the group chat. It was water.
That's me.
Oh, you sent it? Okay. I don't know who sent it, but I do know you and I were just like...
It was me.
So Nick had no... Nick never saw it?
No, he saw it.
Oh, he saw it. Okay.
He really liked it. He thought it was cool.
Okay. But the water was flowing in a way where the... Oh crap! What is it? What's the word?
So it's called laminar flow. So if you turn your faucet on, and you turn it on like a lower setting, you'll notice that the water is coming out more smooth, and there's no disruption. You have no of those white particles, which is like the sort of the breaking up of
or the
H2O.
bubble effect that you get in their oxygen molecules.
So that's called laminar flow. It's when water doesn't have any disturbance. It's flowing in perfect unison. So it's a really cool video. Someone found a very picturesque stream of water that was in a state of laminar flow, where it was so still and so perfect that it looked like it was frozen, like it was ice, and they touched it and it dispersed.
It actually fooled me. Like I 100 believe. Like I thought it was like frozen. I thought it was like an icicle, and it was so amazing. And just science. Science does that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And like for something so simple, like just water flowing without being disturbed versus water flowing and being disturbed, there's so much science and math that goes into that. What makes that happen, right? Like if you look into anything in the world, anything, you like for
Science is behind it.
There's so much complicated science behind it that may seem, well, it is complicated on the surface. But then you look into it and it's just like, it really is just a couple of variables that just happen to work right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And
some of it can be really cool, like laminar flow.
I seen another one
Which you
where...
can do from your own kitchen
Oh,
sink.
yeah. You can literally like... Well, I don't know if you get it that perfect. It's pretty rare.
Well, it's undisturbed.
Yeah, it's just undisturbed water.
That picturesque like that is so extreme.
Yeah.
But you can still replicate it.
Like I was a photographer. I'm sure a lot of you guys seen it. But his shutter rate must have been really high to capture this. But it was Olympic swimmers, and she must have been doing like the backstroke or something. But when her face was coming out of the water, he captured the surface tension of the water moments before it broke. So there was this layer of smooth, undisturbed water over her face, like just like seconds before that surface tension broke. And some people are like, oh, okay, whatever. But
that's because it's an incompressible liquid.
Yeah.
Almost incompressible. So no matter how much force you put on it, it's not going to like break
exactly
immediately. It's gonna try and keep its form until it reaches
like that science
an area
experiment
that it can't
exactly. Like when we in science class, when we're in school, remember Mr. Yates, he got us to fill up these cups and like just fill them up like just moments before they started
Yeah,
overflowing.
and you can see that the water
it was
goes
domed.
above.
It was like convexed almost, and it was like it's simple, but it's amazing.
I actually don't know the science behind that.
I don't
but
either.
It's still incredible, you know?
Yeah, but like there's so
We're probably boring a lot of people, but if you're stuck at home and there's nothing to do, I mean, just
yeah.
I mean, science is such a cool thing that you can just.
Mm-hmm.
The more you read, the more it makes you smile because like it's all these things that just shouldn't make sense. but they do
Exactly.
with
Exactly.
science.
There's
They're
a
such huge.
there's I guess I don't know. There's rumors going around that they're thinking of making a train that goes from Toronto to Montreal, and the travel time is gonna be 45 minutes. Now an average drive from Toronto to Montreal, I think it's like 7. It's got to be at least 8 hours. Now and how they're thinking of doing this is it's gonna be a tube. So the train is gonna be traveling through a tube, but what they're gonna do is they're gonna vacuum all the air out of this tube, and I think the train runs on like a magnetic kind of.
There's an article on it.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. So the Hyperloop idea. So pretty much it. So extreme high speed train. I'm pretty sure it's almost like what I think in Japan what they use with a lot of their trains travels on magnetics, which would make sense.
Because then there's no friction.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's frictionless travel or close to.
Yeah, exactly. So it can reach high speeds very easily, but at the same time they're like, you know what? Let's ramp this up. We'll put in a tube and then vacuum the air out of it. Yeah. So then you have
So there's no friction.
There's
and
no
there's
air
no,
friction. Resistance.
Resistance.
So like you're in a train that's cabin pressurized, but on the outside of this tube there's zero air. So now,
Like outer space.
yeah,
And there's no air resistance. Basically, the force you start with is the force you carry throughout the
exactly.
entire travel.
And let me see if I can find. Okay, so Hyperloop train would take only 39 minutes to get from Toronto to Montreal. 39 minutes and 27 minutes to travel from Toronto to Ottawa. Holy crap. Oh, that is crazy. I mean, does it say the speed?
I don't know. But it did talk about. Is this still being worked on throughout COVID? Do you know?
I don't know. But I do know way before COVID, it was it was
When
all
was this
over.
article posted? 2019.
Yeah.
So this is not up to date.
No. But the thought of having a train that goes from Toronto to Montreal in 39 minutes.
And how they do it is actually
Yeah.
really simple.
It's really simple.
They remove friction and resistance from the equation.
Exactly. Because even with a plane, you have all those air molecules, and now you have to take in consideration of your aerodynamic. Because, for example, that's how fuel efficient comes into factor, especially with cars. The newer the car that comes out, the more fuel efficient it is because of aerodynamics. Also, it has to also take consideration of combustion and all that stuff. But look at Tesla. Like, if you just look at their design, they also, obviously, they're electric, but they also have to be very aerodynamic, because if the car is not aerodynamic and the wind is just like hitting a flat surface,
You really
you might as
bad
well
fuel
just
economy.
you might as well just remove the whole battery equation, because it just defeats the purpose. But yeah, just that thought alone from just going from Toronto to Montreal in 39 minutes is ridiculous. Now, I think the cost, I think they said when I read it, I think the cost would be about, like, I think like $300
For a ticket?
for a ticket.
Wow.
That would change obviously over the years.
Time, yeah.
Yeah. Now
Seems
I think I mean, once you think about it, because it takes me if I were to take the Trans-Canada Highway, which is not like a 400 series highway, it would take me about 5 hours to get to Toronto. And I would spend about, in my car, $50 to fill the tank. I don't know, 300, maybe it's a little on the high side.
It's high.
It's pretty high. would you even feel anything? Would you feel anything? If it's leveling, if it's hovering on a magnetics, which a lot of trains do.
It could be kind of like an elevator.
The only thing I'm scared of is having a
Maybe.
complication.
An
at that
elevator
speed.
moving a different direction. Because, like, as the elevator moves down, you know, like, you'd think, oh, I should be,
Oh, right.
right? But it doesn't, because relative force.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of the same thing sideways. I would imagine. I don't know. I would imagine it would be
It's-
kind of the same thing sideways. So it might feel like you're on an elevator that's moving left and right.
The only thing I would be scared of is having a complication at that speed. You know what I mean? If something goes wrong
But
at that
there's-
speed. Can you imagine if an animal somehow got in there? I mean, they wouldn't survive.
Well,
I don't know.
if you're in a tube and it's designed around that, then in a complication, there's not much surface area for the train to
Right.
derail. Like, you can't really derail. You just
That's
kind of,
true.
at worst, you probably smack against the side of something.
That is true.
Probably be really safe.
Now, the maintenance. Oh my gosh. Cleaning, like, all those windows and cleaning the like, I feel like they would have to hire, like, a completely
Dedicated crew.
Yeah, a dedicated
clean that
company just to do maintenance on it. Just the thought of that is just, ugh. Now, oh wow, we're already at 26 minutes.
It would reduce the unemployment rate
Yeah,
a tiny bit.
just like a microscopic
tiny
amount.
bit.
Yeah,
That's bad. The unemployment rate.
it's horrible. Well, especially because of COVID. Yeah,
It was bad before COVID.
yeah, it was
Now
horrible.
it's just atrocious.
Now it's almost hard to go back on, to be honest. But science is
It
just
says 1 minute 15. Is that how much time we have left?
yeah.
Oh shit. I mean, oh
Yeah.
damn.
No, like, well, it's because I don't know why Lumix always has. Well, actually, I forgot which like they have a lot of cameras.
I was like, how do we jump from a train to Lumix? And I'm like, wait, yeah, the camera.
Yeah. No, like it was because my camera has a record limit, and it's gonna stop recording in exactly 50 seconds.
Yep. So we'll sign off to the video, but we can keep talking.
Oh yeah.
Check out the podcast.
Exactly.
Vocal cords exposed.
Oh yeah, for
Nathan's
sure.
channel.
So for those of you who's watching this on the channel right now, if you want to listen to the full version of this, just go to Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or pretty much any other podcast platform that you listen to. Yeah, and of course, on the video version of this, comment down below what you guys think of the podcast or what your thoughts are. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as always. And you guys know that I also vlog, so if you guys enjoy that, you can also check that out as well. But yeah, we're just gonna keep talking once the camera shuts off.
Yep.
Which should be in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, welcome back to Volkers Exposed. It has been a while since the last podcast, but let's be real here. There are a lot of things going on in the world. Also, just a lot of things just happening at once for me too. But it's honestly great to be in front of the microphone again. And yeah,
You have to restart.
why? What?
I said uncontrollable laughter. Like, I legit for no reason. You're gonna